Welcome to Beyond 50 Skin. If you're new, so glad to have you. My name is Cindy. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I love to talk skincare, hair care, and a little bit of makeup. So really happy you're here today. We are going to talk a lot about mature skin in this video, but we're also going to be discussing a basic skincare routine that you can put together at a drugstore affordable price. If you would like to join my channel, I'd love to have you. Go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and let's get going talking about basic skincare for mature skin at drugstore prices. This video is going to be divided into two parts. The first part, I'm going to talk a lot about how the skin ages. It's not going to be an anatomy and biology lesson, but I thought it's important to understand the basics of skin aging before we jump into creating a skincare routine. That way you have some background information when you're searching for products that can help you along the way to building a basic skincare routine. This video is part of a playlist that I've created for you, Skincare 101 for mature skin, and I'll pop that playlist here at the end of the video if you want to watch more videos on mature skin. So in the second part of today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to build a basic skincare routine for your particular skin type. So ultimately, the goal isn't to stop aging or to anti-age, but the term anti-aging is crept into the skincare world and into marketing, and so that's typically the term that we use. I actually took a poll on my Instagram page, and most people didn't even mind the term anti-aging. So if that term bothers you, just realize that what I'm talking about is basically well aging, looking as well as we can at any and every age that we are. But I think it's really important to understand the process of aging and kind of what happens with our skin before we jump into buying products and creating a skincare routine. We can't really talk about the aging of the skin without talking about a little bit of anatomy and a little bit of biology, but I promise it won't be a big science lesson. But let's get the basics out of the way, and I think it gives a good understanding for why we're going through what we're going through and how we can help manage that, and why you might feel like you woke up in your 40s or 50s and your skin has just aged overnight. There are actually reasons for that, so let's talk about it a little bit so we have a better understanding of the aging process of our skin. Our skin is a reflection of our chronological aging. That's just the way it is. It's determined by genetics and race, and there's not a ton that we can do about those particular things, but we can take really good care of our skin and look as good as we can or as well as we can at any age that we are. So let's talk about the layers of the skin. You may have learned in Biology 101 that the skin is made up of layers. The top layer is the epidermis, then we have the dermis, and that's where a lot of the changes during skin aging go on. We have an upper dermis and a lower dermis, and then we have the subcutaneous, the fat layer down below. So changes are occurring as we age in all of those layers of the skin. So let's talk a little bit about it. So in the epidermis, in your mid-20s, the epidermis is made up of keratinocytes or skin cells, and they come up, they float up to the top or graduate up to the top, flatten out, and slough off. But that turnover starts to slow down. And fun fact, our skin turns over about 1,000 times during our lifetime. I thought that was really interesting. But as we age and we move past our mid-20s, that epidermal turnover slows down. So that is one cause of skin aging, or the appearance of skin aging. Number two, in the upper dermis, it's kind of a wavy layer, the papillary layer, and that flattens out. So our skin thins out because the papillary layer flattens out. The next thing that happens is in the lower dermis, and that's where a lot of the aging process takes place. Our fibroblasts are the kind of the factories that build the products and the proteins and molecules in the lower dermis. And those are elastin, collagen, and glycosaminoglycans, or GAGs as they're called for short. So those processes slow down. Those molecules, just the function and the production, the fibroblasts slow down, so we have less elastin, less collagen, and less GAGs. And the function of elastin is to create that snap back of the skin. When you pull the skin and it snaps back, that decreases. And of course, there's a lot of talk about collagen these days. That gives skin its plumpness. And those are two proteins in the lower dermis that start to slow down in their function. Also, the GAGs slow down. The GAGs are sort of the supportive molecules that help attract water. They support the function of both the elastin and the collagen. They also create this sort of lubrication to our skin, and all of that slows down. Also, the GAGs are important in wound healing. We don't heal as well as we used to. So all of these processes in the lower dermis slow down, and contribute to skin aging. Also, the subcutaneous fat layer of our skin gets thinner, so we have less fat. Our fat pads start to shrink. We also have bone loss and bone absorption, vascular changes, so we bruise more easily, and we also have, ladies, estrogen receptor loss. Now, the estrogen receptors are responsible for creating hyaluronic acid and collagen. So we have a lot going against us, especially as we approach menopause because of the decrease in estrogen receptors. So that's kind of the biology of why our skin ages and why we may feel that we wake up one day and we look 10 years older. I know I felt that way when I hit menopause, and so it's just really important to understand the process of aging so that it might be easier to accept, because we can't really reverse aging, but we sure can look as well as we can at any age. And that's what I'd like to help you in the next step of this video, is to talk about building your 3-step easy skincare routine that's suited for your particular skin type. So let's get started building a basic skincare routine. Everything I've chosen today is available at the drugstore. I wanted it to be super accessible for anybody and not a very high price point. When you're building a basic skincare routine and you don't know a ton about skincare, or even if you know a lot about skincare, it's really good to have a basic routine that you can always fall back on. So I wanted to make it accessible and affordable for creating a basic skincare routine. And all the routines that I have for you today are anti-aging, meaning they include SPF. If you buy no other skincare product, SPF is going to be your best anti-aging product that you will ever buy. The UVA rays and UVB rays that you'll be protecting yourself from are going to pay off in the end and over time. Particularly protection from UVA rays. UVA rays are the ones that age our skin, break down our collagen elastin, and cause us to age more quickly. And so at any age, 15 or 50, you need an SPF in your skincare routine. All right, with that public service announcement out of the way, let's talk about skincare for dry skin, normal skin, and oily skin. I've created routines for each different skin type, and I decided not to include combination because that's kind of normal skin. It's basically if you have an oily T-zone. Now, skin type is basically the skin that you were born in, and it's based on sort of how much sebaceous gland oil production that you have naturally. And dry skin, like myself, I have always been dry. I've been eczema prone. I tend to have skin barrier breakdown, and so I have dry skin, and I don't have a lot of sebaceous oil production. Normal skin is just normal. You have maybe slightly oily T-zone every once in a while, but basically your skin produces an average amount of sebum. And oily skin, you have an overproduction of sebum. So those are just the basic skin types. I know there's combination skin that a lot of folks talk about, but basically skincare products are formulated for dry, normal, and oily skin. The first routine that I'm going to go through with you is for dry skin, but I want to talk a little bit about cleansing because I chose cleansers, moisturizers, and SPFs for each of the different skin types. But in the cleansing section, I've chosen 2 cleansers. A first cleanse and a second cleanse. I strongly believe in double cleansing. I have a whole video that I made about double cleansing and how important I feel it is. So I'll leave that to you to go check that out. But each skincare routine has 2 cleansers, a moisturizer, and an SPF. And I have choices in the SPF. I chose both a chemical and a mineral depending on your preference. So let's get started with the dry skincare products that I chose for you. And I've used all of these products, absolutely love them. So let's start off with the balm cleanser that I chose for you for your first cleanse. This is the e.l.f. Holy Hydration. It's a wonderful balm cleanser, and it doesn't rinse squeaky clean. It rinses with hydration, and it's in the name. I absolutely love it. It gets the makeup off, leaves my skin gorgeously hydrated, and it's the perfect first cleanse for my dry skin. Now, for dry skin cleansers, I have 2. One is new to me and one I've been using for a while. The first one, this one's new to me, is the Cetaphil Gentle Cleanser. I used Cetaphil years ago and found it really drying and haven't really picked it up since. I would say the regular Cetaphil is great for normal skin, but it was really drying for my very dry skin. And so I was a little skeptical, but I picked this up and was a bit blown away. This leaves my skin super hydrated. I absolutely love it and highly recommend it for folks with dry skin for your second cleanse. Another option for your second cleanse is the Vino Calm and Restore Oat Cleanser. I've been using this for a while. Absolutely love this also for a second cleanse. The cleansers for dry skin, first cleanse, there we go. e.l.f. Holy Hydration for getting the day off, and For your final cleanse, either the Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser or the Aveeno Calm and Restore. Love those cleansers for dry skin. All right, moisturizers for dry skin. One is a new find and one I've also used for ages. The first one that I've used for a long time is the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm. It's a cult classic. So many people I know love it and use it for their extremely dry skin. It can help with skin barrier repair. I've talked about it a lot on my Instagram when I had that terrible skin barrier issue with that medication I was taking. Oh my gosh, this was my savior. But a new find for moisturizers for dry skin was recommended by Penn over at Penn Skincare. And this is Fervor, the fermented peptide night cream. Now, I've did a video on some of the new trends, and one of the new trends is fermented skincare. Now, I don't know if the fermented products in here are what's making the difference, but this is, I think it's the peptides, and the base of this is just gorgeous, silky hydration. Now, you might think this is a tiny little tub, but the consistency of this is so thick and dreamy. I need basically that amount. I'm not going to waste it because I've already put that on this morning, but just a small pea-size amount for my entire face. I use it both day and night. If you were to use this on normal skin, I think maybe it would be okay for a night cream, but for really dry skin, the Fervor Peptide Fermented Night Cream is gorgeous for a day and a night moisturizer. Absolutely love it. It's one of my like holy grail new finds that I'm absolutely loving. Okay, SPF for dry skin. These are actually both new finds to me. The first one is the Aveeno. This is a chemical sunscreen. This one is the Aveeno Protect and Hydrate. Super creamy hydrating formula. Absolutely love it. Goes down to no cast at all, obviously because it's a chemical sunscreen. Super hydrating throughout the day. Does have a slight chemical sunscreen smell to it. I'll give it that. But lovely sunscreen, super hydrating, absolutely love it. The second one is a new find, actually, as of this week. It's called Acure, the Radically Rejuvenating SPF Daily Cream. And this is marketed more as a moisturizer. It's SPF 30, whereas the Aveeno Protect chemical sunscreen was an SPF 60. So this is an SPF 30, super hydrating, gorgeous formula. It's zinc only formula, so it's a mineral sunscreen. I was shocked at the minimal white cast. Oh, I got way too much. I always over squeeze. But such a minimal white cast. Sorry, I got so much on there. But as you can see, this really looks like a chemical sunscreen. Absolutely amazed by this new sunscreen, zinc only sunscreen from Acure. It's a drugstore sunscreen that is actually almost a dupe for the Biossance sunscreen that I absolutely love, that you can get at Sephora, but this you can get at the drugstore. It's called the Radically Rejuvenating SPF Day Cream, and it is creamy. Like I said, this is a new holy grail for me for a zinc sunscreen, not a flash of white cast in this at all. It is also interesting because it has turmeric, ferulic acid, and vitamin C. So great skincare loving ingredients and no white cast. Absolutely the find of my month for sunscreen, definitely. Here are these two sunscreens side by side. I honestly cannot tell them apart. They're both hydrating and sit on the skin beautifully. I did want to update you that the Acure did pill once on me on reapplication. A great tip I learned from Sherry Approved is to reapply your sunscreen over your makeup or over your original layer by using a dry beauty blender. Next products I'm going to share with you are the cleansers, moisturizers, and SPF that I found for you for normal skin type. I'm going to start with another balm cleanser. This is the Soap & Glory Glow Your Mind Balm Cleanser, a beautiful balm cleanser, and it rinses a little bit more cleanly. It takes all the makeup off, rinses beautifully clean, doesn't leave your skin dried out, but it's a little bit less hydrating than the e.l.f. Holy Hydration. So that's why I recommend it for normal skin for your first cleanse. Second cleanse for normal skin type, I recommend the CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser or good old Vanicream Gentle Facial Cleanser. These are both great for normal skin types. I love them both. Even on my dry skin, I have used both of them and enjoy them, but I think they're better suited for normal skin. All right, normal skin moisturizers. My go-to daily facial moisturizer in the summer is the Daily Facial Moisturizer by Vanicream, and I also love the CeraVe Moisture Lotion. These are both super basic, drugstore moisturizers, but they're perfect for normal skin. They will leave your skin hydrated, not overly oily, and I sometimes have to reapply these throughout the day. So for very dry skin, I would definitely head toward the Cicaplast Balm and the Fervor. But for normal skin, these are wonderful daytime moisturizers. Perfect. You could also, for normal skin, you could probably layer these up in the evening as well. All right, sunscreen for normal skin. Now this is the new Eucerin Advanced Hydration, and I believe that it's meant as a body sunscreen, but I love this for the face. It's not as moisturizing and hydrating as the Acure or the Aveeno Protect Hydrate, but it's a lovely chemical sunscreen. Again, no white cast, obviously, because it's the chemical sunscreen. Hydrating, but like I said, not as hydrating as the other two. No white cast, super comfortable to wear both on the body and the face. This is a new product, and I know they have one for oily skin, and they also have a zinc-only formula, which I haven't tried yet. But for a chemical sunscreen that's good for normal skin, I would highly recommend the new Eucerin Advanced Hydration. Eucerin has recently come out with a whole new range of sunscreens, and I compared this body sunscreen that I'm recommending to you to the Age Defense for the faces, and really all I could tell is it had more antioxidants but was double the price. My second choice for you guys for mineral is the Cetaphil Sheer Mineral Face Liquid Lotion. This is not as easy to use as the Acure or the Aveeno moisturizing one. It does leave a white cast, and I did a reel on how I managed this white cast by putting a little color correcting foundation over it, and it certainly is manageable, I should say, the white cast. If you have skin tones kind of Fitzpatrick 1 through 2, maybe 3, you could get away with it, as long as you did some color correcting with it. It's not a bad white cast. I wouldn't say it's super sheer, but it is really great for slight oil control through the T-zone, and definitely not as hydrating as the Acure and the Aveeno. So if you have normal skin, I think you'll actually really like the new Cetaphil Sheer Mineral SPF for faces. I was pretty impressed with that, and like I said, the white cast is definitely manageable. Next up is a 3-step basic skincare routine for oily skin. I've chosen these products, once again, all drugstore products, super affordable, basic skincare routine. And I've chosen the products based on their ability to help with oil production, sebum production, or based on their textures. So the first thing I recommend if you have oily skin is to do your first cleanse with the micellar water. They're wonderful for getting the makeup off. They rinse nice and cleanly, and they don't have any residue. So Garnier micellar water, this one is for waterproof makeup, a really great micellar water. And this one I recommend is Gentle. It's by Bioderma. It's a cult classic. They're Sensibo Gentle Formula micellar water. If you choose to use a micellar water for your double cleanse, you use it twice, then definitely rinse off your micellar water. They tend to have surfactants in them and can be a little bit irritating on the skin. So if you use them as a double cleanse, definitely rinse them off before you go in with your moisturizer. But I highly recommend you consider for your second cleanse, cleanser that has salicylic acid in it, beta-hydroxy acid. Because what beta-hydroxy acid or salicylic acid does is it gets down into the pore and it helps control sebum production or oil production. And if you use it on a regular basis, you probably will tend to have less oil production, but you'll still have nice and soft and smooth and hydrated skin. This is a very gentle formula. Now, CeraVe also makes an acne formula with a higher percentage of salicylic acid. And if you have breakouts, I highly recommend you using that, but it might be a little bit too drying to use on a regular basis. This is a great one to use on a daily basis for cleansing for oily skin. And I have actually used this when I've had some breakouts along the cheek and jawline, and it actually has helped my acne clear up, even though I have very dry skin. But I don't use it on a regular basis. This would be too drying for my skin. All right, next up are 2 moisturizers that I've chosen for oily skin, and they're both gel-based moisturizers, the Neutrogena Hydra Boost and the Aveeno Calm and Restore. Folks with oily skin really appreciate a gel-based moisturizer over something more creamy, and these both are bouncy. This is the Neutrogena Hydra Boost, are bouncy formulas that sink straight into the skin without leaving any kind of a residue. They sit great under makeup. And I think if I were to choose between the two, the Aveeno Calm and Restore is a little bit more hydrating. I'm actually almost out of this. I've used this last summer as a summer moisturizer. It's really lightweight, again, sinks right into the skin, hydrating, but no residue. Just sinks right into the skin, and it's a really gorgeous texture. All right, last but not least are the sunscreens that I've chosen for oily skin, and partially based on your recommendation, I picked up the Australian Gold. This is a mineral sunscreen. It has zinc oxide and titanium dioxide as well as it's tinted. And I had to get this online because they didn't have any Australian Gold in my local Target, and I accidentally ordered a darker skin tone, but I can attest to the fact that this dries down to a lovely matte finish, and there's no oily residue. It just dries down really beautifully. If you have oily skin, you're definitely going to appreciate that texture. And last but not least is the Ultra Sheer Dry Touch by Neutrogena, SPF 70. The dry touch is great for oily skin. It doesn't leave any kind of stickiness on the skin. This is the chemical formula, the basic FDA chemical sunscreens. And of course, there's no white cast once you rub it in, as it is a chemical formula. And it has a very nice dry touch finish, sits beautifully again under makeup. So that's my recommendation for an oily skin basic 101 skincare routine. Again, just a quick recap. A micellar water for your first cleanse. If you use it as a double cleanse, definitely rinse it off. Second cleanse was really great for sebum control to use something with a little salicylic acid in it. Moisturizers with a little bit of bounce and a little bit of a gel texture are also appreciated for oily skin. And last but not least, the two sunscreens, Dry Touch. Look for a dry touch formula or a matte formula if you have oily skin. So I hope you found today's video useful in building a 101 basic skincare routine with a cleanser, a moisturizer, and an SPF suited for your particular skin type, and that you learned a little bit about the aging process and are feeling really well in the skin that you're in at any age. If you like mature skin videos, check out my playlist at the end, and thank you so much for joining me, and have a skintastic day.